bros chilling in a hot tub 5 feet apart.
What?
An avocado! Yeah! Ah, you almost made me drop my...
We're gonna go ask this guy to finish the vine or whatever. And I'm gonna video. Okay.
Let's do this. I have a random question. You guys finished the vine? Hurricane Katrina? More like... Ah, dang
Hurricane Tortilla?
Yeah! Hannah, and I'm Charmaine, and welcome back to our channel. Okay, so our question was, is Vine really dead? And so to further that question, we researched the question, how different genders and age groups react to an app used by Generation Z. So how we came up with this was basically, we knew a friend, her name's September Clefts, who took this class, I think last year, year before that, and what she did for her research project was she went to Walmart and she gave strangers 3 names and they had to figure out, like they had to guess which name was hers. So like September is not a very common name, so she gave them the names of May, June, and September, and not a single person guessed September. I was like, well, that's really interesting. We should do something like that. And so we're gonna do pickup lines, but then we realized that we are shy and awkward, and so that was not going to work in our favor. So then I just woke up one morning and I was like, we should do Finish the Vine, because I have a slight obsession with them. So does Charmaine. That's how we are as people. And so we were like, well, let's just finish the Vine, because if we like it, other people have to like it. And we thought it'd be interesting to see what people knew and how, like, what ages and genders actually knew it and then what didn't. We were actually really surprised by the results we got.
I know, yeah, they weren't what we expected. We expected more people to know the Vines, but we didn't get as many.
It's a hardcore plot twist.
Okay, so a Vine, if you don't know what it is a 7-second video of like random things. So like one of the most famous Vines is this little boy on Christmas morning. His parents like gave him a gag gift or whatever, and so he opens his little Christmas gift and it's an avocado. So he's like, "It's an avocado, thanks." And so that's like a famous Vine. So we used that one, and then we used
there's this one. It's this kid, he's in a pantry, and he's like Hurricane Katrina, more like Hurricane Tortilla, as a box of a bag of tortilla chips falls on him. Stupid stuff, but it's hilarious.
Yeah. And so that's what we did for our research questions.
Okay, so one example that actually worked out great was our very first question or Vine we asked people to finish. We went to Walmart, and there was this group of 3 girls, college age, of course, it's like first, second year in college. We figured, perfect, they probably know exactly what Vine is. They'll get it right. So we go up, and I was like, hey, do you guys know what Vine is? Can you finish the Vine? And then I said, road work ahead, and they actually finished the Vine, saying, yeah, I sure hope it does. So that was super successful. We could kind of tell with that generation, the reason I kind of asked them was because they seemed like they were the ones that knew it. So it would be kind of awkward to just sit there and be like, how do you know what Vine is? And they just stare at you blankly. So they were super excited about it though. Like when I asked them to finish it, told them the first part of the Vine. They're like, oh yeah, I sure hope it does. Like I was super excited. Like they were happy someone asked them. So that was great.
Ask these people to do it. Okay, ready? Let's go.
Hey guys, finish the Vine. Road work ahead?
Yeah, I sure hope it does.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so after Hannah did that, we searched around Walmart for a couple minutes, and we found these 2, like, I don't want to, like, profile them, but they were, like, stoners, kind of, like, sitting in the corner by, like, the milk products or whatever. And so I walked up to them, and I was like, can you finish the Vine or whatever? And what one did I ask them, the hurricane one?
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, so I walked up to them, and I was like, can you finish the Vine? And they're like, what? And I was like, oh, yeah. They're like, yeah, okay. Well, the other one was like, okay. And I was like, Hurricane Katrina. And then the one guy was like, yeah, I have no idea what that was. So, like, that was a little disappointing because they looked the part. They looked like they knew at least what it was. They were obviously out of high school. But because Vine was, like, really popular a couple years ago, they looked like they did at least know what that was, or should have at least known what that one was. So that was a little disappointing. But other than that, it was all right.
One of them like kind of didn't even know what it was. Like the one we asked was like, "What Vine? Like, what are you talking about?"
That Vine was pretty popular. So
yeah, it was. So that was one that was a little more disappointing. We were kind of shook about.
Can you guys finish the Vine real fast? Hurricane Katrina.
What Vine?
Hurricane Katrina.
I don't know what that
Okay, thanks.
The next one we did was we went up to this girl. I just kind of went up. I was like, "Oh, I'm perfect. It's the person. Let's go ask her." She looked older. It wasn't like super young, not like our generation. Like I don't know.
College.
Yeah, senior college, graduating college right now. I was like, okay, she seems like a good person. So I was like, it's an avocado, and she was like slowly backing away from me, like, what is wrong with you? Like, it's kind of scared of me, like, what is it for you? So that one was a little awkward, but we pushed through it. We kept asking. It's an avocado. Oh, yeah, that's totally fine. Thank you.
Okay, so the next one I asked was in the mall. We were in Famous Footwear, and so there is this pretty tall like kid or whatever, and he's like seemed like he was either like high school age or like middle school age.
Yeah, like 8th or 9th grade-ish. Yeah, around there.
At least. And so I was like, he probably watches Vines or whatever. So I walked up to him and I was like, you know what Vine is? He's like, yeah. And I was like, can you finish the Vine? And he's like, okay. And I was like, it's an avocado. And the correct response should have been thanks. But his response was, it's an avocado.
And then just walked away.
And then just walked away. And I was like, what? And so I don't know if he did it to be like annoying, because if he did know it or not, or if he just didn't know it. And it was,
I think it was at this point we kind of realized that maybe people don't know what Vine is. So we kind of started trying to think of different ways to ask them, like, oh, finish the line or finish the meme as what's popular now.
Yeah.
Kind of didn't do that, but like we're kind of getting to the point where like, wow, this
people really
certain
don't
people
know what
really
we're talking about.
No idea.
Can you finish the Vine? It's an avocado.
It's an avocado.
Okay.
So after that, we went to some food place. I think we were still in Walmart.
Yeah.
And I went to this couple. I think they were dating, quite cute. But I just went up and asked them. I was like, so can you finish the Vine? And I was like, what's worse than the rapist? And the correct response is a child. No, boom, a child. And like I was like, what's worse than the rapist? He was like, a lesbian rapist. And I was like, I'm close enough. It was
Vine.
I was like, I would have expected him to know it, but at least he gave us some response. At least it wasn't just like I don't know. So that was slightly disappointing, but we got a good laugh out of it. So. You guys finished the Vine. What's worse than a rapist?
A lesbian rapist.
No.
Thank you.
And then the next person I asked, he was a salesperson at Zoomies, and he was a younger kid, at least high school age, college age, working or whatever at like a pretty popular place, Zoomies. So I was like, he has to know. So I walked up to him and I was like, you know what Vine is? And he's like, mm-hmm. And I was like, can you finish the Vine? Mm-hmm. And then I was like, it's an avocado. And he was like, what? And I was like, no, that's not right. It was really sad. He was disappointed because look, when I asked him, he kind of seemed, he was standoffish, so I don't think he was really reciprocating what I was asking him. He kind of just like, he backed away and just kind of like was like, what? And I was like, darn it.
Like and you can hear in the video Charmaine like ask him and he says what? And she's like, oh no. As like the camera drops, I was like, yeah, Charmaine.
Oh no, I was like,
it was at that point in our day we're like, oh, no
we
one
made
knows.
a mistake.
Okay. Can you finish the Vine? It's an avocado.
What?
Oh no.
The last one we asked, cause we wanted to get like the different age groups in there, you know. So we went, and there was this girl, probably 7th grade,
Yeah,
6th or
grade.
7th, around there. Like not super old, but not like a child.
She was with her little brother in the mall by herself.
So those two were just in the mall, and they were by the candy, just like putting quarters in, getting candy, you know. So I walk over, I'm like, do you know what Vine is? And she was like, what is wrong with you? Like, absolutely no idea what the crap we're talking about. Never heard the word Vine in her life.
And she backed away.
Like, backed away was like, no, like, trying to protect your brother or something. Like, I was going to mob him. I don't know. So that one was rough. She, like, didn't like want to say anything. She was just like, no, like one more response. Didn't want to have a conversation with me. She was like, no, you're weird. Please get away from me. Like, so that was a rough go. Finish the Vine. You know what Vine is? No?
Oh,
Dang.
never mind,
Okay.
sorry. So our like results prove that Vine is apparently dead to some people, because we had more failures than we did successes, which is crazy because we asked a couple kids at our high school and they knew what Vine was. We even asked some teachers and they knew what it was.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess it's just that. I guess we should have researched what different different like places, areas where people live, or I guess that's just not popular where they are anymore. So
I think we had 3 people knew what to say, and like I think through 3 out of like 15 people we asked knew what Vine was and knew how like what the correct response was. We were like, I was expecting like a lot more people to know, because there's that older generation that are going into college, and it's been on like, we've all had phones. Like I had it when I was like 12, and that's only a couple years ago, and I knew what Vine was. But like, so obviously those other like the older kids had to have known, but like
they were in high school and it was like super popular.
And being in high school, that's just how it happens. But like no one, like I think the one group of college girls got it right, and like that was like the older people we asked, no one knew. That kind of like made me disappointed, and I was like, oh, what's going on? Like,
yeah, and I definitely thought when Hannah asked the younger girl and I asked the other guy in Famous Footwear, I definitely thought they would know what Vine is, because my brothers watch Vines all the time and they're only in 7th grade. So I thought for sure the younger generation would at least like know what they are, because like sometimes the younger generation thinks that they need to be like the older generation, so they try to like bring back things when it's like gone away. So, but it was.
Well, even then, like, so Vine, they had to delete the app, the Vine app, so people started making them, but like they still get like brought up on Instagram and Facebook and like Snapchat, like they're still everywhere. So maybe it's just like the word Vine is dead. People just don't associate that video with Vine. So people are like, no, I don't know what Vine is. That's not a Vine. That's just a video. So that, I don't think the videos might have been dead, but the Vine itself is. If that makes sense. So relating this back to nonverbal and verbal communications, the people who knew what Vine was, like, they were like so open. They wanted to have conversations. They asked what we were doing about it after we stopped recording. They're like, yeah, what's this for? What's this and that? Like, talked about some other Vines after we were done recording, and like it was super fun to talk to them. But those who like didn't know what Vine was, they were like, okay, bye, and walk away. Like, didn't even say bye. They just like walked away after they said no, they didn't know what it was. So that's kind of, I think, how people react to, if they don't know what they're doing, they don't want to stay and have a conversation because they feel like they just feel awkward about it.
Yeah, I think it relates like back with like the communication. I think it relates back to the personality traits, because some people we asked like whether or not they knew the Vine or not. Some people try to respond, like the one guy with the what's worse than a rapist. He said a lesbian rapist. Like he at least tried to respond. Whereas the girl that Hannah asked when she was like, it's an avocado, and she's like, I don't know what that one is. Like, so I think it relates back to personality, and then also just I think maybe the way we went about asking the questions. I feel like if the guy in Zoomies, if I would have been a little bit more high maintenance, like kind of annoying when I asked him what Vine was. If I would have started up a conversation first maybe, and then asked him, I feel like his our communication between each other would have been better.
And I think along with Charmaine, they're the people who are shy, who don't like being on camera, and they also don't like the whole like talking to strangers thing. So I think if we would have like started like talking like, hey, so we're Hannah and Charmaine, we're trying to do a research project for a communications class, like would you be okay finishing the Vine, all of that jazz. If they would have known what was about rather than just being like caught off guard, like, hey, you know what Vine is, like they probably would have been a lot more open to it and probably would have understood what you were talking about more, and they would have like given the correct responses.
Yeah, or at least more openness and less like hands in the pocket, like looking down and like scooting away.
Yeah.
Okay, so to review real quick, so we wanted to figure out if Vine was dead or not. So we asked the question: how do different age groups and genders react to an app used by the Generation Z? So our results were Vine is dead, apparently. So the different age groups and genders, I feel like the girls reacted better than the boys, just because.
Girls just communicate better with girls,
Yeah,
maybe.
and then the boys, and like definitely, I think it was like the middle age group reacted better to it, because like the one guy that we asked in Famous Footwear, he was younger. The other girl we asked in the mall was younger, and then the other few people we asked were a little bit older. So I think the older generation, the older age group reacted better with that.
Yeah, so I think the reason that the younger generation or the younger people didn't really know what was going on was because A, the Vine app is gone, and B, they just Vine it's popular for like me and Charmaine just because the feed we have, that's just what's popping up, that's how we are. But with them, they're more into the other stuff that's popping up on Instagram, like we're not hip. So that's why they didn't quite understand. We have no idea why the older generation, the older people had no idea. Like the two stoner people we asked, why they didn't know. Like they were the generation to fit it. Vine was at its prime when they were in high school around that age. So like, of course it had been going around. People had to have talked about it in high school. So that one really has us shook right now. We have no idea why those people don't know it. Then we also asked the older people, the elderly, not really elderly, what the Vine was, and of course they wouldn't know because they didn't have phones back then, so of course they wouldn't have seen that going around. And if they do have phones, like if they have smartphones now, they don't know how to work it, and so they aren't going to go on Instagram and just scroll through the feed and say, oh yeah, here's a Vine. Like it's just how they were grown up and what technology they had. Vine wasn't present then.
So to end, we want to make sure you guys get the Vine experience. So we encourage you to watch Vine and reminisce on the good old days.
Because you learn a lot from Vine. We don't know what you learned, but you learned something.
Now to our cringy ending video.
Enjoy. You know what Vine is?
No.
Can you finish the Vine? Just try to. Hurricane Katrina, more like...
More like... I got nothing.
It's an avocado.
Nope, I have no idea what you're talking about.
So the Vine is this little
Fine.
Do you know what Vine is?
Like the video platform?
Yeah, Vine.
Sure.
Okay, so like I'm gonna add. Can you finish the Vine? Can you try to?
Sure.
Okay, road work ahead.
Nope.
Yeah, dang it. Close enough.